Let me move on to 4. Amendment 4, the Hometown Democracy Amendment. This is in contrast to Amendment 2, which has received the least amount of attention. Amendment 4 has received the most amount of attention in the papers and political ads. I'm not going to say a whole lot. I just want to give you a little bit of background because I want to preempt our next item on the schedule, which is going to be a debate up here between Ryan Howe and Leslie Blackner, the author, and then Ryan is the opposition movement to the amendment. Amendment 4, let me just go through a couple of things. Procedurally, what it would be the idea to have a citizen's veto on any and every comp plan change amendment. So the normal process would happen, and when a local government changed or came to the end of the process and changed its comp plan, this amendment would require that that amendment go before the voters in a referendum. Now, there's nothing in there that mandates a special election, but there's nothing in there that says you can't have one. So I guess that would be up to the discretion of each local government. Where the main controversy comes in are on issues of scope, packaging, and ballot language. That huge controversy there. What I mean by those issues are what would be subject or what would be required by this amendment to be put before voters. Is it all land use, comp plan changes, or the proponents of argue that it just might be those that are dealing with the comprehensive land management plan or land use. The opponents say there is no such thing as a comprehensive land use plan. It's a comp plan, and they interpret the language to mean any comp plan change would have to be put before voters. Perhaps even more controversial than the scope of what it would apply to, how would you have to, what would local governments have to do, or what could they do in terms of packaging things on the ballot? So typically, the Department of Community Affairs actually counts ordinances, and often are handled in ordinances. Some of these ordinances actually have a number of elements that might vary in how substantively different they are. So there's a very big dispute about whether or not you would have to actually unpack the ordinances and separate out every single substantive element of a comp plan into a separate ballot initiative, or whether there's discretion there to pack them together in a similar way and stick with what we normally do in the ordinances. So you've heard a wild variation in terms of how many things on the ballot would we have to look at. Certainly there's some counties around the state of Florida that don't change their comp plans, but I think even the proponents would acknowledge that in areas that have been active in terms of development and comp plan changes, seeing double digits in terms of ballot initiatives is highly plausible, if not likely. Where the dispute comes in is what the potential for the higher end is. And again, it could be one of the proponents in my area, Sarasota, said that the cap wouldn't get more than 20, and then we've had the opponents saying it could go much higher than that. The other area of controversy, in addition to, again, the packaging and whether or not ballot language would be subject to a lot of litigation and legal fights, is on the economic consequences side. And so tonight I'm sure you're going to hear some differences of opinion on whether or not this would be have a huge negative impact on the state of Florida's economy, or whether or not it would have a modest or no impact whatsoever. And I'll leave those arguments